In this video, I'm going to show you how to write formulas. Just if I give you symbols, you're going to write them correctly. And we use a helpful hint. We call this crisscross. So when you're writing a formula, there are a couple of rules. Formulas will all have to be a positive part and a negative part. We have to have the positive be first. We don't write ones in our formulas. And we're going to reduce these where we can. Sometimes we'll use parentheses, and I'll show you a couple of cases where those apply. All right, so keeping in mind, if we're making a formula between calcium and chlorine, the first thing we have to do is we need to come up with the symbols. So calcium symbol is Ca and chlorine symbol is Cl. Okay. The second thing we're going to do is we are going to find the charges. So this is where you look at the periodic table and you decide what column the element is in, and then you write down the charge. So calcium, if you look at the periodic table, is in the second column, so we know that that is a +2. And chlorine is over here on the 7th column, or the next to last column, and that is a -1. Now I know I just told you that you don't write ones, but we're going to write this one just here so that we can see it. You will see in different text sources, you will see people will write +2, they'll write, or 2+. Either one is okay. You can do either way. It doesn't matter. And then when you get to the 1, you might see -1, you might see 1-, and you might just see a minus. Because in chemistry they don't write the 1, so either one of those are okay as well. So you can drop the 1, but you can't drop the 2. So back to our process. We've found the symbols, we wrote the charges, and now we are going to do the crisscross. So in the crisscross, what you do is you take the number only, and it goes to the bottom of the other element, and you're going to take this number and it goes to the bottom of the other element. So I say, you're taking it from the attic and putting it on the basement of the other element. So in the case of our example here, we just took our Ca and we're going to put the 2 on the Cl, and we put the 1 on the Ca. Now, I just told you that we don't write ones, so I have to fix this. This is just a temporary stopping point, me showing you exactly how to do this. This is not the right answer. This is temporary. All right, so if I were going to then continue on, I'm going to simplify. And simplify could be reducing my numbers. It could be erasing charges. And it could be eliminating 1. It may also be adding parentheses, and I'll show you an example like that here in a bit. So in my simplification process right now, you can see that I can't reduce this. 1 and 2 cannot be reduced down into, and these have to be whole numbers. So I can't reduce that anymore. So it's going to stay Ca, Cl, Ca1, Cl2. I'm going to erase the charges. These charges up here do not continue on. The plus and the minus disappear. I don't need to worry about that, so that's done. I'm going to eliminate my 1, so it's going to be Ca, Cl2. That's what I've done with the eliminating the 1s. And then adding parentheses. This is only when you have a polyatomic. And a polyatomic is more than one capital letter. And since we don't have more than one capital letter for either our positive or our negative part, we're not going to use that here. I'll show you an example on the next one of when we need a polyatomic. So our answer is completed. We are finished. CaCl2. All right, let's try another example of writing formulas. We're going to do Fe, and we're going to have it as a +3, and we're going to have OH, which is a -1. And let's say on the worksheet or the example, I'm giving you the symbols. Maybe you don't know them, and I'm giving you the charges. So the first step that we're going to do was we were supposed to find the symbols, and we got that done, so we're done with that. The second step was to come up with the charges, and they were provided. So sometimes you can skip those first two steps. The third step was to do the crisscross. So in this case, my FE, which has a +3, and my OH, which has a -1, I'm going to take this 3 and put it over here, and I'm going to take this 1 and I'm going to move it over to there. So in this case, I would write FE1, OH, and then I have a 3. Here's the issue. If you think about it, this O and this H need the 3. And in the example that I have drawn here, you can see that I have a 3 after it, but this 3 only will be read with this H. So we need to think mathematically that we need to be distributing this 3 to both parts. And how you distribute that is by putting it in parentheses. Because I want the 3 on the whole thing. I want the 3 to the O and I want the 3 to the H. So the only way to do that is to add parentheses to this formula. Okay, and then we have to simplify. So to do that, I'm going to eliminate my 1, and my 3 and my 1 can't be reduced and still remain whole numbers. So I would have FE, OH, and I'd have the 3, and that's my final answer. Another example might be if I gave you calcium, and let's do oxygen. Okay, first step, find the symbols. So calcium is Ca, oxygen is O. Second step, find the charges. We have a +2, we have a -2. Third step, crisscross. So the 2 goes over here and this 2 goes over there. So when I rewrite it, I would have my Ca with my +2, or I'm sorry, with my 2, minus, but just the 2, and my O with this other 2. Now, fourth step is to simplify and reduce or remove 1s or add parentheses. I have a 2 and a 2. I can easily reduce that down and it would be a Ca1 and an O1. We don't write 1s, so it's just CaO. All right, makes sense? You can do that. Let's say we had something like this, SN2O4. We could reduce it down and it would be just SnO2. You might see formulas where you have a, like, let's say we're doing Mg + 2 and P is a -3. And when we cross them, you get Mg with a 3 and P with a 2. Now they don't reduce. They don't need parentheses, and that is complete. So remember, first step is to come up with the symbols. Second step is the charges. Third step is to cross them and then simplify. Hope this helped.